In Doug Days, we're following the exploits of Doug, the dog from the film Up, as he learns about the pitfalls of suburban life. The series is voiced by some interesting voices and great animation. We say Doug Days is a series you don't want to miss. Here's why. What is Doug Days exactly? This week, Pixar released Doug Days on Disney+, a collection of 5 animated shorts that reunite Carl from the film Up with his energetic golden retriever, Doug, who can communicate thanks to a voice-activated collar. It's a heartwarming and amusing series of escapades for Doug, voiced by creator-director Bob Peterson, made all the more poignant by the demise of 91-year-old actor Ed Asner last week. Carl was voiced by him with his normal, gruff demeanor to conceal a more pleasant personality. However, it is particularly heartwarming to see Asner cap off his film career on a good note in Doug Days, with Carl falling into a more relaxed comfort zone. According to Peterson, Carl is laid back and at peace. You can tell by the way he stands and the fact that he isn't wearing his jacket and that he is currently engaged in woodworking. In my opinion, his adventure was a success. Unlike Carl, though, who is satisfied to relax, construct a birdhouse, or watch the fireworks, Doug can't seem to stop exploring and getting into trouble. The episodes Squirrel, Puppies, Flowers, Smell, and Science all feature Doug encountering his furry nemesis while caring for the birdhouse. Puppies sees him bite off more than he can chew while caring for a neighbor's canine pets. Flowers sees Doug unable to contain the excitement of new nasal discoveries. Science sees Doug encountering wilderness explorer Russell, voiced by Jordan Nagai using deleted recordings from Up, who returns to help Doug make their own voice-activated collars to communicate with the squirrel and birds. According to Peterson, who drew the character based on his own canine experiences, I wanted to do little slices of life, but we based it on Doug, which gave us the opportunity to put our POV inside Doug's nose and his head, he added. As a result of the widespread affection for dogs, we decided that Doug would make an excellent subject for this series of short films. In the past, we would have made a single short or a single feature film, but now we're able to produce a series. As a result, I ultimately realized that we shared aspects of a dog's life: territoriality, overcoming fear, and acting as a paternal protector. Executive producers included Pete Docter, director of the film Up and Pixar's chief creative officer. His responsibility was to ensure that they did not stray too far from his cherished Academy Award winner. The composers, Andrea Dotzman and Curtis Green, provided notes on cutting, as well as music notes, according to Peterson. "This doesn't play well. This could be funnier," says the narrator. He seemed to be satisfied with most of these quite early on, which made me feel good considering this was our baby many years before. I wanted to make things right for Up. Pixar had the opportunity to create its own canine response to Disney's Pluto cartoons at the same time as the release of Doug Days. However, the story takes an unexpected turn right from the start in Squirrel, as Carl builds the birdhouse and asks Doug to make sure the birds are fed while he takes a nap in the afternoon. Eventually, the squirrel appeared, and the game became about territoriality, according to Peterson. "We even debated whether or not to show the squirrel because it's so much fun for Doug to look away from the camera and exclaim, 'Squirrel!' However, introducing the squirrel allowed us to visit a location that we hadn't previously been in Up, and the squirrel's quick movement allowed us to create some amusing animations, such as placing his head in Doug's mouth. Doug's dream was given a Fantasia-like feel by Pixar's most innovative short, Flowers, which was released in 2011. In order to avoid feeling schadenfreude for Doug's fear of fireworks, Peterson made it clear that Doug was attempting to save Carl at all times. "My dog was deathly afraid of fireworks, and it was tricky because I didn't want to feel schadenfreude because of Doug's fear," Peterson explained. "However, somewhere along the line, I got the impression that we were a little too grounded, and I wanted to go somewhere completely different and crazy. How about a dream about a dog? What would you put in it to make it more interesting?" I started with a basic rendition, which evolved into him leaving the planet and traveling through space, with Flowers trailing behind him. However, I did not want to have a linear structure to it. The lighting crew even proposed that we use a UV effect. That was something we discussed as well. A dog would be able to detect the colors in that light. Therefore, you had to take that risk. It shone brightly. It was unusable lighting for us, which made it a little more frightening. Carl was absorbed and carried down by the flowers in an earlier version of the story, although it was judged to to be too distressing by Peterson and his team, he was forced to perform his school song and be blasted up as fireworks instead. The movement, on the other hand, was meticulously choreographed as an homage to Disneyland. We moved from left to right rather than in and out, in order to stay true to the way Doug moves. Peterson remarked of the movement, "I kept referring to it as if we were at a theme park ride or a carousel of progress," says the author. The voice cast. On the Doug Days Disney Plus page, we can see that 3 members of the cast have been confirmed to have voicing roles in the series. In addition to reprising his role as the loving dog from the Up film, Bob Peterson will also voice the character in the upcoming sequel. Aside from that, Edward Asner, who will reprise his role as the character Carl Fredricksen, will also make an appearance. Jordan Nagai is also featured on the page, and while it is assumed that he will reprise his role as Russell, we're not quite certain that he will be playing the role. So I guess we'll just have to wait and see if it's really him speaking or if it's someone else speaking behind the voice. Is there a trailer yet? Earlier this month, Disney and Pixar released a 33-second video for the new series, which has already been viewed more than 170,000 times on YouTube. In the first few seconds of the sneak look, we hear Doug declare, "I am Doug, and this makes me," before turning around and spotting a squirrel on a nearby fence, when he makes an attempt to track it down. When Doug visits his next-door neighbor, Carl Fredricksen, he's instructed to respect Carl's flowers, and the clip ends with him in Carl's yard. Carl can be heard yelling, "Get out of my azaleas," in the background. As a response, Doug says, "I dug them," to which Carl corrects him by stating, "You dug them," after the dog's given name. The teaser concludes with a look at the major characters and the announcement of the film's launch date on the Disney Plus streaming service. The format of the series is similar to that of Monsters at Work, which was produced in the wake of the successful film Monsters, Inc. Do you remember Up? Since Doug Days is a spin-off of the movie Up, we thought it would be a great idea to recap one of the best love stories ever. Walt Disney Pictures released Up in 2009, which is a computer-animated comedy-drama adventure film produced by Pixar Animation Studios. In the film, the main characters are an elderly widower named Carl Fredricksen, Ed Asner, and a young boy named Russell, Jordan Nagai. Carl embarks on a journey across South America, aided by a massive balloon installation tied to his house, in order to fulfill a dream and fulfill a promise made to his late wife, Ellie, by traveling across the continent. Michael Giacchino composed the soundtrack for the film, which follows in the footsteps of his previous work on The Incredibles and Ratatouille. Doctor began working on the storyline Heliums in 2004, which was inspired by ideas of escaping from one's daily existence when it becomes too annoying. He and a group of 11 other Pixar artists spent 3 days in Venezuela conducting research and gaining inspiration for their work. The designs of the characters were heavily caricatured and exaggerated, and animators were faced with the difficult task of generating realistic cloth for the characters. Disney Digital 3D was introduced for the first time in this film, making it Pixar's debut in the format. Up was released on May 29, 2009, and it was the first animated and 3D picture to open the 2009 Cannes Film Festival, making it the first such film in history. It garnered a great deal of positive feedback from reviewers and spectators alike, with many describing it as one of the best animated pictures of all time. A number of critics commended the film's characters, themes, and plot, as well as Asner's vocal performance and Giacchino's score, as well as a montage showing Carl and his wife Ellie growing old together. With 2 Academy Awards, including Best Animated Short Film and 3 nominations, the film became the second animated film in history to receive a Best Picture nomination, and the first Pixar film to do so. It was also nominated for 3 additional Academy Awards, including Best Picture, making it the second animated film in history to do so, following Beauty and the Beast in 1991. With that type of pedigree, you can only imagine the quality that Doug Days has to compete with, or at least equal it. That is all we have for you today. Are you looking forward to Doug Days?